it's just a lot of it is just Hayden Christensen being mad.
Is that the I hate sand? It gets all in my cracks.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speech Check. I am Sam.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 14.
And today we're going to talk about Streets of Rage 4, Mario Tennis, and what we think of cheating in video games.
But before we talk about any of that, Matt, what have you been playing?
Stealing my line, Sam, is it?
That's what I do. I'm definitely not going to think of my own stuff, but no, carry on. What have you been playing?
I carried on playing Bleeding Edge. It's pretty fun. My interest has kind of waned a little bit. It was a laugh for maybe 10 hours, 12 hours, and there just isn't really enough variety. It's something I covered in the review from the last episode, but there's not a great deal of variety in the maps, characters, or game modes right now. So you kind of exhaust what the game has to offer fairly quickly. They did add a new character, a new tank into the game, which is pretty cool. I played with them a little bit, but it's nothing to get me back into it hugely or anything. What has been absolutely devouring my time is Borderlands 3, which I picked up because it was half price on Steam, and they had the special edition, like the typically £80 to £90 special edition, down to £40, £45.
You've got your hands are tied at that point, right?
I couldn't say
you've got to buy it.
That's the whole game, and the two DLCs they've already released, whatever's coming next, and whatever characters they release too. So I picked that up, and I've put about 45 hours into it, and it is a solid game. Super Borderlandsy, having lots of fun with it. I played in kind of my solo playthrough is kind of cheesy, I guess. I played Zane, and he has the ability to have two action skills instead of just one. So I picked a shield and his digiclone, which is like a decoy, essentially. And it means that my playstyle was kind of like throw down the digiclone, have that draw aggro, and then I go somewhere else and kind of sideswipe all of the enemies. Pincer movement, everyone. Which you might say I'm just playing smart, but it's kind of campy, and I'm kind of exploiting the AI. But I am playing alone, so it is kind of harder to play it by yourself. But it was still fun to play through, and I've just started a second playthrough on True Vault Hunter, where the game gets harder and you get better loot drops. And I've mixed up my character build so that it's more about moving around. He has a skill tree where you can invest points in getting increased damage the faster you're moving, and the more people you kill, the faster you move. So you're rewarded for sprinting around killing things. So it's kind of I've gone from using single shot rifles and snipers and stuff to using fully automatic pistols and SMGs. So it switched my playstyle up quite nicely, and it's given it a bit of a new lease of life. But I am trying to take a break because the game's just a time sink. It's just an amazing time sink, and it's really fun.
I know you said you've been playing it with your friends and stuff. Have you got a campaign that you're just doing with them, or are you just dipping in and out of each other's games as and when?
So I tend to have multiple characters on the go. So I have one solo character that I only play solo, and then if someone wants to start a game with me, we'll kind of start together and then hive that character off for only playing with that person, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And then whenever we want to play together, we can just jump in as that character, and it means you don't get so much level mismatching. I know that they've improved it in Borderlands 3 so that things scale better, and they've scaled the experience distribution better as well. I believe they call it... they've got two different modes. It's oh god, I can't remember what they're called. There's some play on the word cooperation, and one allows for instance loot, so everyone's loot is completely separate, and you have your own enemies and stuff and your own XP allocation. Or not your own enemies, but the damage multipliers are based on you rather than being based on the host, if that makes sense. It's a similar thing to what they did in New Blood, the latest Wolfenstein game. They did a very similar multiplayer balancing mechanic. But yeah, damn fun game. It was half price, couldn't say no, had to pick it up, and I've been having lots of fun. Definitely got my money's worth out of it, for sure.
To be fair, everyone I know that has played it has said it is fun is generally the main word that comes out of their experience with it. So And that's kind of what Borderlands is, right? It's just a fun experience.
Yeah, you're grinding for that next insane gun that will make you powerful enough to take on the next portion of the game. And they've amped that up by having more kind of crazy guns, I guess, like guns that do unexpected things, like throwing the guns at growing tiny legs and then running towards people.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Or like that was one of their big ones from the promo stuff.
Yeah.
But they've also got beam weapons now, which is thankfully the only hangover from pre-sequel, is that you have Malawan elemental beam weapons. You have guns that fire like flat cannons. You've got it just has that Borderlands spirit where things just get insane really quickly, and the gun feel is much better. Like the sound design on the guns is much better than Borderlands 2 or pre-sequel. So you really get more of like a, I don't know, just it has more of like a modern shooter feel with the classic Borderlands DNA. I think that's why it's so satisfying to play, because you can slide and mantle as well now, so you can like climb up. You've got like a slam attack you can do. You can slide around shooting stuff, and yeah, have a bit of a crazy time.
My experience of Borderlands was that it was fun, but it was, like I said, it was a bit rough around the edges. So it's nice to see that they've kind of taken the good elements of just modern shooters, like you said, and put all that in and got that, but without losing the feel of what Borderlands is. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think that was something that wasn't necessarily, I don't know whether to say it was missing, but it was just evident that the studio wasn't that experienced with shooters before, or it didn't feel like they were. They didn't have that kind of modern shooter feel. Like if you play Modern Warfare 4, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, you can just feel the guns. You know, the reload feels great. Every shot feels quite impactful. You get a really nice sense of like the hitting of things. It has all of that in the game. But yeah, I'm going to stop waffling about Borderlands and ask you, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been flip-flopping a bit. I was trying to find something to get my teeth into a bit more. And I ended up landing on Resident Evil Revelations.
Okay.
Especially because I was in the midst of some RE3 content. I was checking that out for a bit without actually buying the game. I wasn't like yourself. Didn't go in for the purchase. But I was working on the raid mode, which is like I can't remember if I've explained it before, but to quickly recap what that is, we just basically play combat scenarios from the main campaign. But you have like different enemy setups, and enemies can have modifiers, so you can have ones that are like half the size but twice as fast, ones that do more damage, ones that have higher defense, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And you get like a different makeup of enemies, so you'll get enemies that you wouldn't necessarily see from the campaign in that section, and then there's like 3 different difficulty tiers, so they went a bit in on it, but I basically just had to replay the same stage that I knew would get me a decent amount of XP, but it still took a while. So that was kind of boring. That was the achievement stuff, or the achievement hunter in me coming out a bit more. But that's done now, so I don't have to do it anymore, thankfully. And there's bonuses on each stage as well, and there's an achievement for getting 150 bonuses.
But bonuses?
And you can get. So you play a stage, and it has a leveling system, as I've said with the level 50. So it'll say to you, on this stage we recommend, or we feel that if you're at level 15, you'll do okay. So if you play at that level or lower that the game recommends, you get a bonus.
Okay.
Because if you play stage 1-1 as a level 50, you could like just run up and knife everything and it'll die immediately.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like Borderlands, I guess, and it's scaled to leveling. You get a no damage one, which is so annoying because there's a dodge mechanic in that game that doesn't really work. It's very annoying.
Before, yeah, isn't it? You have to you dash towards them or something when they attack, right?
Yeah, you press. I don't know if you press up and A or if you hold up and A. I've been doing it sometimes where I've just been walking around and I'll just dodge sometimes. It doesn't really make sense. So there's no timing to it whatsoever. It's just when the game decides that you can do it and can't do it. Yeah, don't like that. And there's the hunters on that game are insane. They're really fast. They're really hard to interrupt. They do a thing where I don't know what the mechanic is specifically called, but where like where enemies are aware that you're aiming at them, so they'll do like an evasive maneuver.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like on RE5, where if you aim at the Magini dudes on the Aboriginal guys, they do like they bend back and then like flip back up because they're like, no, you're not going to headshot me. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and they're just annoying, and the game is, or the raid mode in particular, is almost set up to not be fair, which I don't personally agree with. I agree with challenge, but when you're just really stacking the odds against the player, it's just not fun. Because there's a bonus level called Ghost Ship, which is like you basically have to play all the stages. You have like the environment's kind of weird because it's kind of open, but you just go to specific sections. So I guess kind of like Luigi's Mansion in a way, in that the whole area that the game takes place is almost open to you, basically. And you like just gradually work your way through the environment, but there's nothing to stop you going back to old areas that you previously were in say chapter 3. But yeah, the Ghost Ship is like kind of you just have to run the gauntlet from like basically the front of the ship to the back. But it's just ridiculous. It throws way too many enemies at you. It's basically made for co-op, but because it doesn't scale. It's not like it's not like COD Zombies, where if you're one player you get times 0.4 zombies, where if you're in 4 player you get the max number of zombies. So not like that. There is a set number of enemies in the stage, and having 2 people is just objectively better because you've got twice as much ammo, twice as many herbs.
It's frustrating a little bit.
Yeah, so I might do that eventually if I ever get a partner, but it's kind of a dead game now because it's so old.
I'll give you a hand.
If
you want.
You need to be like leveled. It'd be like if me saying, it's like if you needed a Borderlands partner, I'd have to buy Borderlands, get to max level.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and I would never ask you to, Matt, so don't worry. Do you know what? Everyone of my friends who I've told that story to has said, I'm not doing that. Like, when I've explained the situation, they're like, no, I'm not, I like you, but not that much.
I'm your friend, I'll be your P2, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah, you helped me on Halo, and that was...
Well, helped in inverted commas.
No, you did. It only took us 2 tries to get the score on that last level, considering you've never played ODST before, on Legendary as well.
I'm not a big Halo player, and also I was using a controller, which I don't really use.
Yeah, that's been a long time since you've done that. So for shooters, anyway.
Yeah, I do it for third person. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so I've obviously told you, but I tried to not let it come across, but whilst we were recording the previous episode, that was the start of like a nasty toothache for me. And I hope it didn't come across in the recording, but it might have done that I was maybe speeding through things a bit more.
I didn't hear it while I was editing.
That's good. That shows everybody listening that I'm incredibly professional, suffering during... Exactly. And soldiered on through it. So yeah, I kind of had a dip in the week. I maybe got just generically ill on the back of that as well. So I was feeling crap for about a good 5-6 days, and my productivity like plummeted. And I wasn't. You know it was bad because I wasn't playing games in that time either. It was very serious. So I ended up Danielle and I were just watching things. We binged Disney Plus and Netflix, as we have been doing. I also watched all the Harry Potter films because Danielle wanted to.
Okay.
She's not like a mad Harry Potter fan, but she enjoys them. And they're all right. They came out when we were like of that age where it was just a like a good family film to go and see. So I saw 1 to 4 at the cinema, missed 5 and 6, and then 7 did the thing where it split into 2 parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched part 1 and then didn't watch part 2. So I've caught them all now, and it's nice to have that little, just that sequence of films. I've seen all of them, and I know what happens. I've experienced the full arc. I don't know, it just feels nice. Maybe that's the achievement hunter thing in me in a different way. The completist.
You're a better man for it, now that you know the entire story of Harry Potter.
I knew basically how it went. I didn't know how it unfolded visually.
Okay.
So We finished The Mandalorian as well.
Oh,
Mandalorian, really good.
I'm only like two
One of
episodes
my
in. I need to get
one of
on
my
that.
favorite things to come out of Star Wars, in well, modern Star Wars anyway. John, we tried to do Star Wars Day, and I've got the original trilogy on Blu-ray,
Hmm.
and so it's been a thing the last couple of years. We just watch all the Star Wars films at Christmas, but we start with A New Hope, and like,
So you watch them chronologically release order, not
yeah,
not story chronologically. Story
yeah,
chronology.
but I didn't have the prequel trilogy
Mm.
on any kind of recording, but obviously Disney Plus has all the Star Wars, and she hadn't seen it, and she didn't know what happened. So I was like, okay, we'll start from the very beginning. Watch Phantom Menace. That's the first time I watched Phantom Menace in a while, and well, it has the best lightsaber fight in my opinion. At the very least, the best live action lightsaber fight because
With
it's an actual choreographed fight. It's a
Darth
fight
Maul
scene.
at the end of
Yeah,
yeah.
it's Ray Park, I think his name is. Like
Yeah.
he's an actual like stunt coordinator and martial artist. I don't know what his official title is, but he knows how to fight and to use weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, he's kind of, I don't know if he's made it big in films. He's not like, I don't know, like Jackie Chan or Jet Li or anything, but
No, he's not that level, but
he appears in a lot of smaller action films, and I think Phantom Menace is his biggest film.
yeah, and yet you can just tell on the way that it's shot, on the way that they interact. Even like the final 30 seconds between him and Ewan McGregor,
Mm.
it's so fast. It's just really good. You won't see a better lightsaber fight in live action Star Wars for me. And that was weird. I had to explain it to Daniel after because she didn't understand. I was like, oh, okay, there's this political blockade. And she even said at one point, she was like, well, why do they want this tiny planet? And I was like, do you know what? I don't know. I don't know why they want Naboo, but they do. Because they never explain that. They're not like, oh, there's this, Naboo has like an abundant galactic resource or whatever. They're like, oh, we don't, no trade here.
Is it because of the? I have not seen that film in a long time, but I thought it was to do with the Gungans. I thought they wanted to get rid of the Gungans because they were another block to the whatever kind of trade deal they were trying to. I don't really understand it, to be honest, mate.
No, they just find the Gungans. They're like, oh, by the way, there's this underwater city.
So that no,
No,
they didn't know they were
they
there.
just discover them halfway through. Yeah. So
Well, okay.
yeah, and then we watched Attack of the Clones. I even said to her, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do some work while we watch Attack of the Clones.
I can't
Because,
blame you.
yeah, it's just, a lot of it is just Hayden Christensen being mad.
Is that the? I hate sand. It gets all in my cracks.
Yeah, there's some weird choices in that film. I don't know what they were doing, but there are some good moments, like the bit with the Jedi fight, and then when it actually all kicks off and it ironically sets up Clone Wars, the TV show. That's better. And I do like the fight between Yoda and Dooku, even though it's not real in air quotes.
Mm.
It's just a cool thing to watch because as a kid, up until that point, Yoda was just this old man who was like wise and spoke weird. And then
You never see him flex his force powers before that point, do you?
no, and it's like do you know, it's the way he pulls his lightsaber out because he doesn't grab it. He pulls his coat over and then like holds his hand out, and the lightsaber just comes into his hand.
Like an absolute G.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and I was like, "There's no way Yoda's going to fight. He's an old man," and then he does, and it's just like amazing.
He's like some little ninja frog. He's channeling his inner Greninja.
Yeah, maybe that was the inspiration for Greninja. Old yada yada. I also watched a show called Alaskan Bush People on Discovery Channel. It's just one of those shows. It asks nothing from you, and it's probably like 75% like scripted, staged. But they are real people and a real family. But I've read up on some stuff that they're basically people that live in Alaska and are like self-sustained.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they've done like 10 seasons. I thought it was quite recent, but it's not. It started in like 2014, so it's been going a while.
10 seasons?
Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
I guess how many
People,
seasons have you got of the Kardashians? Can't be that much different, right?
yeah, I think they're on like 14. But like, as guilty as I am of it, like I'll watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but only because it asks nothing from you. It doesn't care whether I'm paying attention or not, and it doesn't matter if I miss 5, 6 episodes, weeks, whatever. I can just see this episode. I can mock it for being completely out of touch with real people problems, and then go back to my life.
Yeah,
and it's only like half an hour. So,
but I watch. I'll go and sit with Fran sometimes, and she watches Below Deck. I don't know if you've heard of that, like a yachting reality show that actually follows a real charter yacht that has like crew on board, and then they have like all their sexy, crazy dramas, and they've got to take care of the charter passengers and stuff. And I'll sit down and watch that, and I found myself getting quite like worryingly into it. But yeah, reality TV, like you said, it just demands nothing of you. You can sit down and just be a vegetable. That's what you do sometimes.
Yeah, you just switch your brain off and just let it happen. Not everything needs to be a Chris Nolan film.
Yeah.
And I think if I had to experience everything that way, I'd be exhausted.
Mm.
And I'll add one more thing, and that's the bulk of what I've been doing since the last episode. But I noticed yesterday, I don't know if you've seen it as well, in the last like 2 days, whilst I was scrolling through my Instagram feed, I had you obviously get like anything, you get sponsored posts or sponsored, not like ads, but like sponsored profiles. They were pretty generic. They weren't people I recognised or heard of, but it was 3 separate accounts, and they were all celebrating moving into somewhere, or it was like a new house, or just a new purchase, flexing in, but like fairly like rich normal people flexing. It's not like David Beckham or a Kardashian or something like that.
Okay.
And I don't know why it was. I don't know if it was just Instagram making me want to feel worse, because there was no apparent. They weren't selling anything, I don't know if you've seen any weird things like that pop up on your feed, but it was just odd that in the space it was all on the same day, and in the space of about 20 minutes, I just had 3 profiles from like guys that were maybe our age, maybe a bit younger, in anywhere from 20 to 30.
I did see that there was a spate of people who would go to like kitchen showrooms, take a picture and be like, got my own house at 22, how hard can it be? And then they put that up on Instagram. I don't know if that's...
Oh, they're doing the Hard Rock Nick.
Yeah.
He sits in the car in the dealership. #buying.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
It's when Drew says on that, we'll just take a photo when you get home. It's like when your cleaning crew makes you buy the supplies that you apparently are giving them. But yeah, that's what I've been playing / watching this week.
Thank you, Sam. That was a nice catch up.
So that's what we've been playing. It was a bit lengthier than we normally do, but Matt now is going to tell us the releases. Matt, lead on.
Why, thank you. I am now going to talk about the releases. First one up today is Streets of Rage 4, coming at us from Guard Crush Games, .emu and Lizard Trap. This came out the 30th of April 2020. And it seems like I want to say a return to form, but I mean just a return to series for Streets of Rage, because we've not seen a Streets of Rage in
been a long time.
14 years? 18? Since the 90s, I think. So my first step in this was to look up these developers, because I hadn't heard of any of them before.
Yeah, 3 devs on one game as well. That if I heard that before the game was being made, it would make some alarm bells go off for me. But it sounds like it's been all right.
Yeah, it's come across okay. So .emu and Lizard Trap have previously worked on the most recent Wonder Boy reboot. If you recall, I think it's Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap. And .emu have also previously worked on the mobile port for the Double Dragon trilogy, the update to that. And Guard Crush Games, it seems like, have come out of nowhere, and their previous experience is a Streets of Rage style, like, satirical game called Streets of Fury EX that has like rotoscoped graphics, and you play. It seems like you play stereotypically French people beating up like street toughs. It seems like an odd game with like comedy at its core, but with some really decent fundamentals from like a game design perspective. So looking at the three developers that made it, like you said, it rang alarm bells for me as well. But it looks like they've all had previous with working on ports of old games or have interest in that kind of classic brawler style. And from what I've seen, they've done a pretty good job in, I wouldn't say updating Streets of Rage to make it current or reimagining it. It's more like a transformation. So they've taken that pixel art style, they've changed it to a hand-drawn, cel-shaded, cartoony style with the story in the game told through comic book panel stills that happen in between the levels. And the gameplay is going to be incredibly familiar to anyone who knows anything about Streets of Rage. It's your classic brawler. Move from the left-hand side of the screen to the right-hand side of the screen, punch everything in the way. That's the long and the short of it. They've kept... go on.
Sorry. From what I know about it, and like you've just pointed out, it's just like if Streets of Rage hadn't been made and then been made today.
Essentially,
like
yeah.
With using today's technology or on today's console, PC, whatever.
And they've not done anything to shoehorn in more recent trends in gaming. So there's no leveling, there's no skill trees, there's no, advanced combos or anything. You've got your simple 3 to 4 hit combos that you had from Streets of Rage, the classic series. You have the grappling where if you move into someone's space, you kind of grab them and you can jump to flip over to their back and stuff and suplex them and do all that kind of good stuff. It's a simplistic brawler as it being, I want to say being remade or like reimagined, but it's just being updated, I suppose is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
You start the game with 4 characters, sorry. That's Axel and Blaze returning from the original series, and you have two new characters, one kind of fast, light, quick hit, and then one heavy grappler. Different character archetypes, and each one plays completely differently. So going through the game with any of those characters, besides maybe Axel and Blaze, they're quite similar. But they all have the different feels. You play through in a different way when you're playing these different characters. They have their familiar special attacks where you sacrifice a section of your health to do a slightly more powerful move. But in this game, you have almost like a Bloodborne style mechanic where if you do that attack, that health becomes temporary health. And then if you quickly combo after doing the special attack, you can earn that health back. But if you take a hit while that health is in its temporary mode, you lose all of it. So you get an interesting kind of risk-reward in using your special moves that actually prompts you to use them more often. Because in the classic games, you do a special move and you just lose that health. And you also have special star attacks, which you use up, I guess, kind of like Golden Axe with the magic. Quite akin to that. Everything about the game, from what I've seen, is good. If you like brawlers, classic style brawlers, it's going to be right up your street. There's tons of attention to detail and lots of callbacks to the original game.
It took me way longer to get that pun than it should have done, by the way. Yeah, sorry, but carry on.
So I'll make it I was like streets of
I was
Rage.
like, why did he chuckle? It was something funny. But, oh, I see.
So they brought back the sound designer from the original game series to make some of the tracks, and they used other sound designers from Sega's back catalogue, so the Ninja Gaiden series and stuff, to make the different tracks for the game. And it apparently really shows. Like, the tracks are the same kind of bops that you would remember from Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3. They've also got some pretty cool unlockable extras, like a retro filter for the screen, so it looks like you're playing on a CRT. That's pretty common amongst these kind of retro reboots. And they also have the classic sound effects, which when I was watching the reviews tickled some part of my brain, because hearing that when you pick up an apple is like on point. It was exactly right.
It's lodged into your brain for a reason.
Yeah.
There's like a reason you liked it then. It was not just because it's nostalgic, because it was good.
Yeah, it just fits the tone. And there's whip lady. Is it Poison? The whip ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, not a lady. It's a man. That technically
Oh.
the first trans character in gaming, Poison from.
Oh wow. Okay. Fair.
But that noise that they made when you kill them with the, I never understood why that was the noise. Like opening a fresh bottle of Coke. I didn't.
Yeah.
I never got it.
Maybe that's their soul leaving.
Escaping their body. Yeah, so they lean back on the classic, but they add in just enough new to keep the game feeling updated. Something that really impressed me with the unlockable extras is you can get every single character from the original trilogy, and they play exactly the same. Every single one is playable.
Impressive.
And they have a pixel art style like the classic games did, and they're exactly the same. I was shocked because that's a lot of characters to play through the game with. That gives a lot of replayability and variety. Some have said that it is almost too faithful in its recreation, that it isn't enough of a sequel because it's just Streets of Rage again. I would say that that's probably not true. It seems like they've got a lot of variety, and if you like Streets of Rage, you come back for that gameplay in a slightly expanded way, which seems like what they've done.
I think it's it seems like an unusual thing to be critical about to me. It's like you can't win. If they change everything about it, they go, "This isn't Streets of Rage because it's got this isn't the same. These characters aren't here." Blah blah blah. But then they've done it. It seems like they've added a lot of stuff in. They've added, fringe new elements to the characters, and it's the health saving mechanic.
Yeah,
new to criticize a game for that is just odd. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, new characters, new, slightly newish mechanics. It plays a little bit differently, and each of the characters does play differently. So there is, I don't know. I think it's new enough, and I think someone who says it's too faithful maybe doesn't have an eye for those kind of classic brawlers. And it is made for those people. It is made for people who like that experience for sure.
Yeah.
It has 3 modes, or 4 modes if you count the campaign. There's the campaign. A boss rush mode, an arcade mode where your health carries over between stages. So if you want that classic experience with a bit more difficulty, you can seek that out. And there's also a PvP where you can just have a straight punch up with player 2, which we've all wanted to do through the course of our multiplayer gaming, I imagine. It's quite expensive, in my opinion, at £22 right now. I don't know if it's really... Personally, I couldn't justify above 20 quid for it. It's a short game, and if you're good at beat 'em ups, you'll get through it in maybe an hour and a half. I know I've said there's a lot of variety in gameplay with all the characters, but that's still very short for £22 anyway. So if you're a real fan of beat 'em ups, I think it's worth a pick up, especially if you've got a friend that wants to play through it with you, because it's better in co-op, as most games are. Next up is Gears Tactics, coming at us from Splash Damage, released the 28th of April 2020. My first note when I was looking at this is Gears of XCOM, because that is a shockingly accurate description of what it is.
I think I agree with you, and I like both of these series, but I don't know if it's got to the point now where if you make like an isometric tactical game like this, XCOM's kind of the bar, right? So you can't really make, or at the very least in the mainstream. So I don't think you can make a game like this without. It's like if you made a kart racer, people are always going to compare it to Mario Kart. It's kind of inevitable. But I get what you mean. XCOM's not a bad thing to be compared to either.
No, it's not. It might sound derogatory, but it's not. Like it's a completely serviceable isometric tactical shooter. It feels kind of odd for someone who I didn't really engage with the Gears franchise. I don't know if it makes sense for Gears. I'd get that it's a cover-based shooter, and typically tactical games are all about taking cover and choosing your spots for your squad. But it seems like a weird offshoot for a game that's about visceral combat and like moving quickly. From what I've seen, it's quite like a fast game. Maybe that's because I watched you played multiplayer.
Yeah, so I think jumped in a bit because I know a little bit about it. I don't know how much. I imagine it was published by Microsoft.
Mhm.
So I think they pretty much own the rights to Gears. But the main developer of Gears is the Coalition. And it seems like when they have a side project, so like Gears Judgment came out, and that was like a really heavily arcade-orientated take on the Gears series.
Okay.
And they changed up a lot of stuff control-wise and just kind of almost core tenets of the game. They kind of flipped on their head. And that was done by People Can Fly, the same people that did Bulletstorm.
Okay.
So it seems like when they want to test the waters for Gears in a different direction, they hand it off to not the main dev, I guess, or a different dev that maybe. Because I know of Splash Damage, but I don't exactly know what kind of genre of games they make. It might be in this. I don't know if you can list a few off your head, Matt, of games you know they've made.
No,
but this
I can't.
But yeah, this might be just them seeing that, okay, does Gears work well for this? And we're not putting our main horse in that race. We're going to have a side bet. So maybe that's the thinking behind it. But yeah,
I mean, it's always good to diversify, right? And when you're a series like Gears that's been going since the inception of the Xbox, I mean, you had Halo Wars, right? That was RTS, Halo style. There's got to be a time where you start stretching your legs into other genres because there's no more ground for you to cover in the chest-high walls, grey-brown environments anymore. You've got to think of something else.
There's only so much you can do, yeah.
Not chatting shit about Gears, by the way.
No, but COD's the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why you get series lethargy. People hated Assassin's Creed, 5 years ago or so, and now people went apeshit, didn't they, over Valhalla? So
yeah, people are loving the trailer for that. Like, it looks good, but it didn't set my world on fire because I know exactly what game it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can play any Assassin's Creed, and you're basically playing all the Assassin's Creed games.
I might wait for them to release it and then pick up Odyssey, because
yeah, I've heard that was the Greece.
Yeah,
Greece. Yeah, Origins is the
Egyptian one.
Egyptian one, yeah. Sorry, completely tangential,
there, but we like that. So yeah, Gears of XCOM. You're basically playing the. If you're familiar at all with XCOM, that is what Gears Tactics is. The missions break down in a very, very similar way. Move your soldier, put them in cover, fire at an enemy, rinse, repeat, win game. You have a squad of 4 gears, and sometimes you have hero characters that accompany you as well. Each gear can have up to 5 different classes. I'm not going to get too much into the classes because they all have their own skill trees, and it's pretty old hat. It's like, I'm the demolitions guy, I blow stuff up. I'm a sniper.
Yeah,
it's known stuff at this point.
It's pretty much self-explanatory. That you can probably guess half of the skills they have, that you get double rockets, double grenade, AoE or something like that.
Yeah, higher critical chance, higher chance to hit the head or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's no movement grid, unlike XCOM. You have free movement in 3D space, and you just have like a kind of a loose circle that shows how far your character can move. They seem to have really kept the DNA of Gears. Like, you have your, I want to say bolter, but that's from Warhammer. What's it called? Lancer.
Boltok. Oh, that's
the
the Boltok is the Magnum. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. With the chainsaw on the bottom, so you can rush locusts and chainsaw them up. You can slide into cover, as is a Gears thing. When they do the kind of roadie run into the crazy slide when they get into cover. If you vault cover, you kick the locust on the other side away from it, so you can use that to a tactical advantage. They've kept the real core feel of the game, even though they've pulled out this isometric, pulled back perspective, and it has more of an emphasis on tactics now. Interestingly, there's no management. So in XCOM, the overall management of your team and the space is quite a large part of the game.
For me, that's arguably a bigger part of the actual missions. The missions are the easy thing that I find, and it's all the panic and satellites and all that kind of stuff. That's where the hard stuff lies.
That's the challenge. Yeah, the real challenge when you get into those higher difficulties is trying to manage all of these resources and keep those plates spinning even while you have these missions, and you've got to keep all your troops alive too. But that's almost gone from this. You just get the skirmish missions themselves. You have the experience, your soldiers' stats, weapon boosts, and skills, and that's kind of it. Now, is that good? Is that bad? It means the game is quite, not one-dimensional, but you know what you're getting into. You're just getting into this tactics style arena fighting. There's no further, there's no further management to the game. And some people may like that, some people may not. The graphics seem great. They've really done justice, even though typically in these kind of games where you're zoomed out, the graphics suffer a little bit. They tend to have less fidelity. But when you make kill shots, much like in XCOM, or if you throw a grenade, you kind of like follow the path of the kill shot, or you follow the grenade, and then when it explodes, you've got all these different enemies flying into chunks and stuff, and you get to see the chainsaw kills up close, and you cut them in half diagonally across the body and stuff. So graphics are good. They've kept the DNA of Gears in a tactical, isometric, turn-based perspective with none of the management. That's a pretty concise breakdown of it. And if you like Gears or XCOM, I'd say if you like XCOM, you'll almost definitely like this. And if you like Gears, you may like this. I think it tends towards people who like tactical shooters, even though the subject matter is Gears.
I'm going to be buying it. Like I said, I'm going to be buying it. I've got Game Pass, so as soon as it's available for Game Pass on the One, I'm going to be playing it because it's only on Steam at the moment.
I'd be interested to hear
Game Pass PC.
What you think of it, because it almost tempts me as someone who's not been into the Gears franchise. I do like tactical shooters, so it does. I don't know. It seems like a decent pickup, but it's coming out at a weird time as well, because Chimera Squad has just come out, and that has there's much greater focus on these particular skirmishes, and it's from a developer who's they're an old hand at making these kind of things. So to say, would I recommend it? I don't really know. If you like this kind of game, you should probably get Chimera Squad, and if you like Gears, you might not be into it. I think you're kind of a rare example where you like both games, so this is almost like a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the quick breakdown of Gears. So I've just covered two good games that I can say, despite their shortcomings, they're two well-made games that you should pick up either on sale or not. They're definitely worth the price to someone. I'm now going to cover. When looking for my indie titles, I'll start off with like a quick.
I say you need to justify this definitely.
I start off with a quick Google, right, and I'll see what's come out. And generally, indie games don't get as much press, so they can be a little bit harder to find. And I couldn't see anything just on a cursory Google that I hadn't already covered in the last few episodes. So I was like, all right, let's go on Steam. That's my second port of call. Steam, indie, release date.
That was your second port of call and your first mistake.
So I go on Steam, I go back one page. So I've just gone on indie. I scroll back one page, and what do we find? But this absolute gem. As you know, I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil. I've spoken about it the last couple episodes. I played through 2, and I was trying to go for the S+ rank on 2, which I still haven't got. And I played through 3, a little bit of Resistance. So I've been into Resident Evil. And what do I see but Lewd Apocalypse, Penisis Evil, coming at us from KGAM Games, the 1st of May, 2020. This is like some weird comedy Resident Evil parody hentai game. So...
It's covering all like it could be a Google whack from that point of view, and it's the only game that will come up if you search all those keywords.
If you put in Resident Evil parody hentai, in fact, don't put that in. I don't know what will happen.
Yeah, browse incognito if you're gonna do that. But if you do search that, this is the only thing this should be the only thing that's going to come up anyway.
I'd be surprised if any other game came up anyway. So the protagonist is Lara, a scantily clad nymphomaniac going around a zombie-infested city. The gameplay is not dissimilar from what you'd find on like a browser game or like a mobile, like a quickly made mobile game where you have your character on the right-hand side of the screen with a gun. Zombies slowly advance. Oh, sorry, left-hand side of the screen. Zombies slowly advance from the right, and you just click on their heads to kill them. So that seemed like one section of the gameplay. Lara is pursued by the bioweapon Penisis, who is seeking out sluts. Sluts standing for Special Lethal Urban Tactics Squad, and they're all postmen. I don't know why that second part is, but there we go. The other section of gameplay, besides a 2D sprite-based zombie killing, is a jigsaw. So you go straight from the zombie killing into some kind of stilted dialogue encounter that plays out almost like a dating sim or something.
It seems like it was like there was two people working on this game. Yeah, it seems like one of them was taking it really seriously, and the other one was having an absolute laugh. But they were never communicating with each other. They were just making their own parts of the game. So this guy's got this like decision-making system because he wants to recreate RE3.
Yeah. There's actually there's the live decisions in RE3 where everything goes black and white and it gives you the two things like fight,
it's like fight,
nemesis,
run away.
or run. That happens in this game. Like you have the kind of the truncated shooting, then you go into the weird conversation bits, and sometimes Penisis shows up because he's seeking you, and you have a choice whether or not you sleep with him or you run away from him. And Penisis, by the way, his head is a bell end. His head is a huge bell end.
As you do with any man you encounter. Do you sleep with him or do you run away?
So you go from the shooting to the conversation, and then you do a jigsaw of some anime boobies with the explicit bits like blanked out. And then when you complete the jigsaw, it becomes like an animatic of some insane act. Some hentai act going on. That's kind of the whole game from what I can see. It's currently 59p on Steam, and I tried to find out more about KGAM, the developers, but I couldn't. This seems to be the only game
they're made in jail
for crimes against gaming. The only thing I can say about it is it does have a sense of humor about itself. Like there is some wordplay. Like they're clearly being dumb with it with the sluts thing and penises. Like it's just dumb. It's a dumb game. If you've got an hour to spare and you like anime boobies, and you've got 59 pence going, I guess that's up to you. I'm not. There's no kink shaming here.
For me, it's a weird one because if you're, say, an aspiring game dev or artist or whatever, and you made this, who in the right mind would put it in like their portfolio or use it as a reference for what they can do?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, that was more of a rhetorical question.
Yeah,
I was. I didn't expect you to actually give me an answer, but yeah.
I guess it's
I get
experience
the niche.
Like you're getting better with the. I don't know. So I'm just going to full stop it there. I think I'm just going to full stop it.
Yeah. All right. Let's just end on that.
Let's stop that one there, and
let's not think anymore about it. We don't need to.
Don't think too much about it. It might drive you mad. And that's it from me this week, Sam.
Thanks.
That's okay. So, forgetting everything about that last release, Sam is going to take us through the news. What's been going on in the wider world of gaming, Sam?
Oh, I'm going to try and cleanse the people's palates of that last game that you fed to them, because I think they definitely need it. But as I said in the previous episode, I could have just made this a big long list of everything that's been cancelled or events that have been made into online events. But I'm not going to do that. I try to err on positivity, or at least relativity. Things that are, still happening in the gaming world. There is still stuff going on, despite coronavirus shutting a lot of things down or delaying it. But the first one is a cool one that I stumbled across, is that there was a Pro-Am Mario Tennis tournament that happened the Sunday just gone.
Okay.
Kind of in line with other sports stars and that playing in sort of virtual tournaments. So they have the Premier League going on at the moment. So that the top football league in the UK, they're having. I thought initially it was like one player from that club represents them on FIFA, and they have like a little competition, not necessarily for anything, but it's. I know, is it Tony Bellew, the boxer, has represented Everton. Something that just like whoever wanted to do it, and
Okay.
they're doing that kind of thing. Facebook, the tennis company IMG. Notice how Nintendo aren't mentioned anywhere in here, which I think annoys me because
Why not?
yeah, I don't get it. Like I don't get why they don't support Smash. We're obviously biased, but it's one of their most far-reaching games, and you know, Capcom support Street Fighter, NetherRealm supports Mortal Kombat. Why didn't they support Smash? I don't get it. Maybe they just didn't see it as that. But that aside, Facebook and the tennis company IMG, they teamed up and they hosted a pro-am, one pro, one amateur, if you don't know, doubles tournament, Mario Tennis. So the most recent Mario Tennis. I don't know, is it Mario Tennis Aces?
I think so, yeah.
There were a fair few entrants. I did have to look up who a couple of them were. I'm a boomer now, and most people stand. If you're older than 14 and you're not on TikTok, what are you doing? But yeah, you had two Williams sisters.
Okay.
I know that like Serena's like one of the most, if not the, probably greatest female tennis player that's still playing. You
I
had
think so.
former like female prodigy, was it Maria Sharapova was in it?
Okay.
The model, I'm going to say Gigi, I'm not going to say Gigi because I sound like an idiot. Gigi Hadid.
Gigi Hadid.
Or that.
I don't know. I don't know who she is.
John, your way sounds better. So Giga Hadid.
Giga Hadid. The final form of regular Hadid. Sorry.
Yeah. She's like 9 foot tall. And Seal, which that seemed like a weird one to me, as in Kiss from a Rose.
From a Rose.
Yeah.
Oof. Did he sing that the whole time?
Yeah, it was really annoying whoever his partner was. He's there going, and baby,
Like, looking right at them the whole time.
yeah, not blinking. Are there any other Seal songs? That's the only one I know that Seal did. I'm sure he did, but
no, whenever I try and think of Seal songs, I end up thinking of Lighthouse Family songs. I don't know.
yeah, Lifted. That's what I get. So back to the news. So yeah, that was just, this is just a cool thing that happened, which is why I wanted to report about it. It was won by the professional tennis player Taylor Fritz, who I've not heard of, but he obviously is a good enough tennis player that he's getting paid to play. So well done, Mr. Fritz.
Nice one.
And Addison Rae, who I'm gonna show my boomerness now. I believe she's a TikTok star.
Oh, I have no idea who she is.
But if anyone listening wants to confirm or deny that. But they played Boo and Peach, respectively.
Boo's a good pick.
Yeah, I haven't played tennis since I did think I had GameCube tennis actually. Instead of what's GameCube tennis. I played N64 tennis, and is it him and Paratrooper? Or Paratrooper? Just their movement was insane because they were flying.
They're special. From what I remember from the last one I played, they're like special super hits. Would like travel in a semicircle, like a huge arc, and it was just difficult to keep track of.
And I don't know if Peach is as powerful as she is in Smash, but they won the $1 million, which obviously they're professionals. Sorry, one professional and one. I imagine Alison Rae's doing all right. She's a well-known TikTok star. But they gave the prize to the charity No Kid Hungry, which is a charity that looks to eradicate child hunger in the US. So it's all for a good cause. I, for one, think that sports stars, if I could say that, should do things like this all the time. I know lockdown has kind of forced people's hands in that they're not able to do anything else. But if I was a football player, tennis player, whatever, I would be looking to I'd be on Twitch, which I know a few of them are. There's a few football players that are on Twitch and stuff. And yeah, just interact with people. I was kind of thinking about this the other day, really, that you could argue that the two like sort of pinnacles of classic celebrity are film stars and sports stars. And I find it's weird. I think that people, you can idolize, or you can get children to idolize more sports stars because there's a tangible, effective talent. Not that acting or singing isn't a talent, but it's a lot more apparent that you could be probably not that great an actor and still do fairly well. But if you're not like the elite 1% of your sport, you're not going to win World Cups, Super Bowls, you know?
Yeah, that's a fair observation.
So I think there's a weird, like, I don't know, there's a more modicum of respect that goes towards sports stars, and I think don't want to get too preachy, but I think they're an easier sell as a role model to kids. Like, when you're, if you're playing football, if you went to like a kids football team training session, and they'd be like, oh, who do you want to, what football star, whatever do you idolize? They'd be like, oh, I want to be Ronaldo, or I want to be blah, 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 So I think it's maybe they do, maybe they don't. Sports stars realize that they have like a good or a very large impact on children and people. So I think by doing something like Twitch would get people interacting, which just breaks down those barriers where you can't normally get anywhere near those people. Because even if you go to a game, you're not there, are you? You're still tens of feet away from people, so it doesn't really matter. And it's one of the few things I think is good about. I don't think it was the Fortnite World Cup, but Fortnite did like a pro-am tournament where you had like celebrities getting on it. Yeah, that was where like Drake and Joel McHale, if you know who Joel McHale is, watch Community, funny guy.
I recognize the name, but I don't know.
You probably know if you saw his face, you'd be like, oh, that's that guy. And Marshmallow, the DJ dude, who I think won it. I think he was Ninja's partner.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was never going to lose, was he? But yeah, I think that was a cool event that I wanted to bring up. If somehow any celebrities or game companies are listening to this, do that more, and people will like you. Trust me. Because I know what I'm on about. So I'm doing this in my bedroom. Second item is from the gift that keeps on giving. Fallout 76 had a little bug.
Shocker.
In the time just gone. They added, I believe for free, the Wastelanders DLC, which introduced NPCs into the game, which in something like a year to add in computer characters to a game that had them before. Anyway, a bug was found where if you died near said NPCs, I don't know if there was a calculated, if you die within a game mile of these characters, if you died in the same room or whatever, they would take some of your inventory items and then you couldn't get them back. So you could have a legendary super sledge, and then you could die for whatever reason, come back, and NPC number 5 has got your weapon. And I don't know how pickpocketing works on the game, but I don't know if this is classic as it was on the other ones where you just crouch and then look for the pockets.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
And I had a look on Reddit, and it seems that Wastelanders is kind of, as much as people have wanted NPCs to come into the game, because all this stuff has kind of come with it, people that have invested hours and hours into it don't want to just go in and lose their stuff by chance, you know? So people have kind of, in a way, boycotted the game to a certain degree. But the hotfix has been issued already. So fair play to them for sorting it out. But it's just so Bethesda. It's just another thing that Fallout 76 is guilty of.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know whether I appreciate them or respect them more for trying to build up what it was, trying to do a No Man's Sky and repair what that should have been, I guess.
No. I think they just need to stop it Like, they need to abandon it, in my opinion. It's not worth whatever time, effort, and money is being put into Fallout 76. It is not worth it.
Has it soured your expectations of what to expect from Fallout 5? If there is such a thing, or whatever the next actual Fallout is, because I don't really consider 76 part of... Like, when I speak about 3, New Vegas, and 4, I don't even include 76 in the conversation.
No, it's kind of like... It's a bit like a Fallout Tactics to me, where, although way, way worse than Fallout Tactics, where it's like an aside to the main series, and they dipped their foot into a pool that was popular at the time, you know, open world survival multiplayer games. That was what was going on with like Ark and Rust. They're big. Well, Ark and Rust still are big games, but that's because they're well made. It was just a complete misstep, and putting NPCs in isn't going to repair that. It's not going to repair how bad it is. It's just not a good game, and that doesn't mean that people can't like it. You know, I like bad games. I like some games that aren't great or like critically well received or whatever. Same way I like bad films, just like I like Deem. But but just stop flogging the dead horse, right? It's done. It's crap. It's been panned by the community. Nobody really likes it. If you're going to make a Fallout 5, you know, even Fallout 4 was divisive. You know, some people didn't like the direction that it went with the settlements and stuff. Even if they went back to that huge backstep would still be a massive upgrade in quality, in my opinion.
No, I'd be inclined to agree. I was skeptical initially when 76 was first announced, I was like, oh, it's a new Fallout, this is going to be good. I like Fallout as a series. It has its flaws like any other game, and especially like a Bethesda game. But it's a series I've got a lot of love for. But then when I found out what the structure of it was going to take, it kind of immediately put me off, and I don't remember even thinking about potentially buying it. I know, did you play it on the free weekend?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yeah. But I think Tom bought it, didn't he? And I think he tried to stick with it, but it's just
not. It's just
people want to like it, but there's just not anything in it, right? It doesn't have any soul, you might say.
No, it's just, yeah. There's that. You know, there's been plenty of analysis done on the game and plenty of reviews. It's the core of it is it's a bad game. There were lots of bad decisions made when they were designing it that have led to a game that's substandard, and they need to stop trying to. I think we've had this conversation before, actually, even speaking like on Speech Check about how games like Rainbow Six and No Man's Sky, Sea of Thieves, they come out and there's something wrong in the content. The content of the game is like lacking, or there's a bit of misbalancing, but the game is fun at its core. It's well designed. It can be a fun game. Fallout 76 is poorly designed, but it's in a universe that's fun, and you'll exhaust. You will have to continually get over poor design decisions in order to enjoy the game at all. And that, to me, says, stop it. Stop. You can't add things to it. You're just piling shit on shit. It's not going to get better. Silk per sow's ear, right? That's the adage we're looking for.
See, yeah, like the foundations itself are not good. It's a house built on sand. That's
It's a bit more elegant than shit on shit.
Well, to each their own. I had a similar experience, actually, in Fallout 4, where if you jumped out of your power armor, I think I was in, is it Sanctuary, the first place you come to? Or wherever you live, like straight out of the vault. I was quite deep into the game. I was on like my final stretch of finishing it off. And I jumped out my power armor to do... you can't interact with the workshop in power armor, which, if they're going to make power armor a key thing in the game, don't have to make me keep getting in and out of it every time I just want to sink.
I could really moan about power armor, but that's not for now.
Yeah, it was skewed. It wasn't good, but it was too powerful, basically. But there you go. Yeah, and we got attacked by some super mutants, and so instead of just running and shooting and taking them out, this NPC got in my power armor, and I couldn't get them out. So you have to pickpocket the fusion core out of it, so it deactivates, and they have to get out.
That's pretty fun.
And but because they're your like allies in your settlement, the second you come near them, they're like, "You need something." So they're like they
was turned towards you.
they're trying to interact with you.
Oh god.
They're there trying to like plant some tomatoes and like sidling up next to them, like, don't mind me. I just need my insane armor suit back.
That's a very enterprising NPC though. He did not want to die that day.
No, he knew what he was doing. To take out some like level 17 super mutants when we're like level 60. Moving into my final one, I've deliberately put this last because it's gonna lead in quite nicely with our question. So at the end of it, I'm not gonna dwell too much on or have a reflection on the story in general. I'm gonna let that soak in to the question as we go into it. So it turns out that there's been some nefarious goings on in Victoria, Australia, and that some CSGO players have been charged over match fixing. There's been 5 players charged in total over match fixing, so they've been deliberately losing and also betting on the other team to win. So pretty much a clear and cut definition of match fixing.
Mm.
These are the first time charges like this were made in Australia. And it comes from an investigation from the, quotes, Victoria Police's Sporting Integrity Intelligence Unit, which is my favourite name for any organisation I've ever.
I like it.
It's a cool name. I mean, it's not sluts, but it's pretty good.
Pursue.
The next best thing. There's been 6 arrests made, and 5 men have been charged. I've put on here that one man has also been charged with possession of cannabis, and then I put a gamer who smokes pot. That's interesting. Never heard of that one before. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm not aiming that at you, Matt, by the way. That's just an observation of the gaming world.
It's a bit of an archetype, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you guessed that someone who gamed a lot also smoked weed, you'd probably be right half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one man's been charged with possession of weed and, quotes, conduct that corrupts or would corrupt a betting outcome of an event or event contingency. So I assume that's the posh way of saying that they have taken illegal action to throw a match in some description. From the betting that's taken place, there's been 30,000 Australian dollars, which I initially thought worked out to about 15 quid, but it's actually 15,000. As a sliding, by the way, that Australian dollars are meaningless. But
that's our Australian contingent just gone.
This is the only podcast where you're going to get both gaming and financial humor. So what a little niche we're carving out for ourselves. Yeah, the ESEA Mountain Dew League has also been informed. I don't think they've made like a ruling on it yet, but I think they've been banned from a few other places. And it's just, I don't get why people do this. I get to make money, but there's got to be better and more legal ways of making a living, right? Like, if you just be good at the game.
If you're already good enough to be in a pro team, you're probably getting paid pretty well anyway. It's it is greed, isn't it? Greed is the motivator, but it's I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna dwell too much on it now. We'll have that fresh in our minds, and then we're gonna close this down, and then we're gonna lead into the questions. I'm gonna wrap it up there, Matt.
Well, thank you very much for the news. It was enlightening as always.
My pleasure. So that's all the news. So now we're going to flow juicily into this episode's question, which is cheating. What do we think about it? What is it? And what are our views? And Matt is going to start us off on this one.
I'm still overcoming the word juicily.
So, that's a word, right?
No, I mean, it is a word. It just makes me feel dirty.
Okay, fair enough. I had juicily, you had whatever it was, penises, apocalypse, whatever the fuck it was called. We both done things we're not proud of on the podcast.
So yeah, my first thought on this is cheating is just not okay. And what I consider to be cheating is using something or using tech to increase your natural ability to overcome an obstacle either within a game's systems or overcome other players within the game. So I think that turbo controllers and aimbots are essentially the same thing. Like if you're using a turbo controller casually, that's fine, but I wouldn't be happy, say, just as an example, and to be honest, it wouldn't really help in a fighting game, but say you're in a fighting game and someone had a turbo controller or they had some button that would mean they would do a move automatically, say, that would annoy me. It's not the same then. But I think augmenting a controller is okay. So I use the example of scuff controllers or like keybinds, changing keybinds on first-person shooters. If you make the game as comfortable for you to play as it can be, that's okay because you're still relying on your reaction times, your muscle memory, your mechanical ability to execute inputs to the requirement of the game. I think that's the difference.
So if you were playing COD,
mm-hmm.
And you were killed by someone, and they were like, "Oh, that guy had a turbo controller," you'd be like, "Oh, that's not fair because he's getting a mechanical assistance from tech." Whereas if you played Smash and lost to someone, and you were playing Joy-Cons and they had a GameCube controller, or you're playing Street Fighter and you had a normal controller and they had a fight stick, that's okay.
That's
that right?
Fair. Yeah, that's what I think. That's fair. It's just different. I'd be okay with the guy in the COD example. Say he had the G3, which was single fire in 4, right? It was a single shotgun. Say he had some kind of keybind where he had 2 different buttons bound to fire, and he had like mastered the ability of tapping these buttons at exactly the right time, so he was on point with how fast he could fire it. Say, rather than a turbo controller where you just hold down a button and it does that, because someone has clearly put time and effort into learning that. And I think that's the difference. It's about, like I said, have you spent time learning something? Are you good at the game, or are you using external forces to make yourself good at the game?
Yeah. Pushing your skill level beyond your own, or like potentially like an aimbot, like a human limit.
Yeah, it's obvious that aimbots and wall hacks are just like clearly not okay, and they ruin the experience for other people.
I don't think there's any dispute on that. Yeah,
I think cheating against other players is really disrespectful, and it shows that as a gamer you only care about yourself and your enjoyment. And I think when you go into like an online space, cheating and like heavily griefing people, even if you're much better than them, you shouldn't seek to take away the fun from others. You can still have fun in that game without destroying someone else's experience. I don't really know how I feel about just cheating in a single player game. Like, I mean, if you're just ruining the intended experience for yourself. Like, the designers have put the game together for you to experience it, and you should try and go through that experience, and either you can engage with it or you can't. And if you are having so much trouble engaging with the experience that you need to have cheats or a special controller, or I'll use the example of aimbots again, to experience the game, I don't really know if that, you're only changing it for yourself. I guess it's kind of like a mod at that point, right? And I don't really care about mods. If you want to make the game what you want to make it, sure. And I noticed that you mentioned speedrunning in your section, and yeah, I think I didn't really talk about glitches or anything. Mine's more about like cheating. So I'll leave the speedrunning chat to you. So you take it away, Sam. What do you think?
Just to quickly jump back to one of your points about the griefing. It's something that so I've got an Xbox, Matt has PC, so there's not many games that we play together, but the main one that we do is Smash. And generally we find an arena to join for that someone's hosting, or we make our own and people join ours. And it just seems that that's, for a game that's like, I mean, Nintendo at the very least views it as a party to play with items on and all that stuff, but it definitely has a serious side to it. But it's unusual to me the amount of like the guy that comes in and plays the Samus, and all he wants is to stand at the ledge. It's just an unusual. Not that's cheating, but it's just a weird way of
I suppose
interacting. Like
it's just it is a playstyle for that character, I guess. Like a character with projectiles, you probably should use their projectiles, but should you dodge across the stage and only stand at the ledge? Like, is that? It's kind of a weird one because really, if I was any good, I'm like an average player, I'll say. If I was any good, I would know how to counter that. So that's quite a limiting play style for him. And typically, like in high level play, you don't want to play at the ledge. You want to take center stage and have stage control, right? So he's playing suboptimally, but really annoyingly. So he's just playing in a frustrating way. I don't really know how I feel about that. I hate it when he comes on, and I make it my mission to get him out first. But
yeah, he frustrates me as well. And the disrespect thing as well. I agree with the thing with the cheating is a huge, or if not the biggest form of disrespect. But even if I'm clearly better than someone, I don't mind. Like you can, and when people style on me, I'm like, okay, that guy's good, fair. But then it's when people are just people just grab you and pummel you over and over again, and they're just looking to get you up to stupid percent,
or just grab you and don't pummel you.
Yeah, they just do that, and it's just. I'm sure there's people that out there that enjoy that and get some kind of fun from that, but that's not my way of doing things. But yeah, each to their own. But yeah, to my actual points, I agree with Matt on the majority of what he said. I don't think you can cheat against a computer per se. I would rather definitely use my own abilities to try and do something. But in doing a cheat, you're almost admitting that you're not good enough. And if you've put effort in and tried, and you've dedicated a lot of time to it, and you can't do it, and you think, you know what, I'm not happy about doing it, but I'm going to do this to get or whatever I want, then fair enough. In a PvE environment, do what you want. Again, I don't think that you get as much out of it, because when you do that thing, did you really do it? No, you did it because of XYZ conditions, or you used some kind of peripheral or whatever to get the result. It's something I'm kind of experiencing at the moment, because I've been playing Super Contra to try and finish it on 1 credit. And every run that I look up for how to do each level, everyone's using a turbo controller. And I'm adamant that I won't do that. Because it goes from like 0 to 60 from using a turbo. Because it's just, that's not me. They just run forward holding X. And it just, I don't know, it circumvents challenge and skill for me. And then if you're doing that, then you might as well have the gameplay itself.
Yeah, that's true.
Glitching in speedruns, fine with that, as long as it's within the category. I know there's been a couple examples I've seen online of people like splicing together runs and trying to save the same run. Obviously, that's not okay. You are deliberately lying. There's a reason you're trying to stuff like that. But I think people are pretty acute with knowing when that happens, and most speedruns are done live for that very reason, to get around that fact. You can do, there is a name for it, like a colloquial name for it, but there's some, I think it exists more on PC to do with like game files and stuff, where you can just unlock all the achievements in one go.
Oh.
That's obviously not okay, but what's the point? What do you get out of that? And it'd be like
none of the satisfaction of actually doing it.
You
don't get...
and that's where the satisfaction comes from. If you didn't do something, then it's not you didn't do it. So it's not your victory to hold. Like if we went to that Smash tournament, and I had like a rich controller or whatever, and I won, got away with it. That's just a hollow victory, right? Because if anything, I should feel worse about that, because I didn't do it, and I'm admitting to myself that, do you know what, I'm not good enough, and I can't do it without this appendage or extra thing to help me out because I am not good enough in like a skill realm as these other people. Again, going back with the aimbots and stuff, and like things like lag switching, anything a human can't physically do in a PvP environment, nope, not having any of that. It gets into a bit of a different area where I guess some people might call boosting, what I have done in the past, as cheating. When I have done that before, it's more of a way that it usually involves multiple people that need the game, and you need to. It's an organization thing rather than, oh, okay, we're going to meet up and we're going to do this exploit because we know it works. So it's, for me, I see it as more organized play to a specific goal. We play within the realm of the game. There's maybe a few examples where like, oh, okay, I'm going to let you kill me and then you can blah, 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 or sometimes with like XP boosts like that. But generally, as I've said before, I'll at least try to do something legitimately, or if I know that it's not that hard, I just need to persevere or learn more about it. I'll do that first rather than just going, oh, there's a multiplayer thing on the game. I'm not going to try. I'm just going to immediately find people who can do that and get it the easiest possible way. So I don't consider it as cheating, but I just think
that is a fringe one, I guess. Fringe case.
Yeah. And on my last point on that is that context is a thing of that. So I think boosting can be in, like, say, fringe circumstances, but I don't use it that way. I use my powers for good. So, yeah. If you cheat, only cheat yourself. It's an age-old adage, but I think it's none more true today than it was when it was first uttered. So, cheating, bad.
But winning, good.
Yes. So, do we got to? So that was this episode's question. But Matt, what is going to be the question for the next episode?
So this one is, have we set or achieved any quarantine goals? This is gaming or otherwise. So have you taken this chance with the world in lockdown to better yourself, or just watch a series of movies, which I think we've both done, play a game you've not played?
Yeah, develop a skill, learn anything, completed a game, any kind of stuff. I thought it was... You don't get many chances to ask a question like this, so I thought, going on, people might want to share their stories.
It's an interesting one.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening, as always.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to spend your time here with us. And keep your eyeballs on Fox Ludio on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, all those good places where we put stuff, things, mainly this, hopefully other stuff soon.
Yeah, we were going to have... The initial plan was to have more content in the week just gone, but we both had like personal circumstances that kind of derailed us quite a bit. So that's going to be hopefully coming in the next week or so. There should be some more Facebook content, and I've got some stuff that I think could be good for the channel in terms of like short content.
This is news for me as well. Isn't it? Interesting.
You just know when you think something's good, but you're like, oh, I think it's good, but does anyone else think it's pretty good? Does anyone else want to hear about that? And I get a bit
test.
I get a bit caught up sometimes. Gaming content, especially on something like YouTube, is just such a dense market. I think I have to get over that block, just make it, put out and see what we think of it. We are working on a website as well.
Yes,
that's going to have probably not so much video content, but I'll definitely blog on it and have like written articles and stuff on there. If you want to check that out as well, you can do when it eventually exists, and when it does exist, we'll let you know. Put links in the description and stuff so you can find it.
I think it's a ways off at the minute, but it's where our sights are set at the minute. That's like the next thing.
That's like the next milestone for us, yeah. So, and I think it's not insane, but I think we just need to have, we've had a discussion about it. We've decided on the template to go for. We just need to now populate it and decide what we're going to have on it. So it's a whip, definitely, but it's a very early whip.
Bye.